Okay, I'm a bit warm. I just got done spending the past 2 hours unloading feed bags, distributing feed, moving feed. Some people pay money to pump at the gym. Us country folk think that's crazy. You just move some feed bags, bale some hay. You could do that for free and feed some animals. You don't have to pay money to lift weights. You can be doing this for free from that exercise. I'm glistening. But I have to talk to you now or I'm going to forget all about it, and it's like the idea is going to get not what I want it. The idea will not be what I want to present it to be. It'll change. So, what is Oilco? I think I figured it out. What is Oilco? In my one video, the speculation of a spinoff, we looked at some of the documents, and I said that it doesn't look like Oilco's really related to Torchlight or metamaterials. Well, that's partially true. I think I figured out what Oilco is. So, let's do a history. You have to look at the history of this acquisition of the metamaterials acquiring Torchlight in a reverse merger to understand what Oilco is. Okay. Again, I'm glistening. So, first we have Torchlight. During the oil exploration, they want to get out of it. They want to sell their asset, get out of oil, be done with it, go do other things. The asset's worth lots of money. So what do? They are acquired in reverse merger by metamaterials, which is not oil exploration. Metamaterial is development and licensing and some production of metamaterials, hence the name. So now metamaterials has to sell this asset because by the time the asset's sold, Torchlight has been absolved into Meta. And Meta is not oil. It doesn't jive with the company. It doesn't jive with the mission statement. If you look at the Articles of Incorporation, you got to have a mission statement. You got to have what the company is. If it doesn't jive, then you have Spinoff. Whoa! Spinoff. So, metamaterial acquires Torchlight, but they have this big honking oil asset to sell. And they have a lease obligation to meet. Okay. And as we've looked at previous documents on the Railroad Commission, on the university lands, there's contingencies to drill, and they have been drilling. But now they have 2 additional wells that they're completing. They're re-drilling that, which tells me that there's probably a buyer, or at least somebody's kicking the tires, as Market Move says. Somebody's at least kicking the tires on this. If not, somebody's acquired the asset. But there's something going on. Anyhow. So, Meta has this big honking thing to sell. They have stuff to drill. They can't do this under the Meta name. No. So you gotta have a... It's like the Batman. Wow. A spinoff. Hence, new Hudspeth is created. Hudspeth. I call that new Hudspeth, otherwise known as Hudspeth Operations, LLC. That's the spinoff. New Hudspeth. So, Meta acquires Torchlight. Meta can't really get in the oil or energy. So, they had to make new Hudspeth to deal with this asset. Now, when you sell this asset, you're going to have dividends. And if you read the merger agreement, so Meta spun off into new Hudspeth. Now, in that agreement, they talk about the dividend and how that will be and how they will distribute once sold 90%. If you look back to the roller pigeons method, Torchlight has a revenue interest of 49.9% of the Oro Grande. Okay, so minus 21% for taxes. And then on top of that, you have to minus 10% for the underwriter. Okay. What management fees and underwriting fees are not taken in, right? If they don't take in the whole 10%, whatever's left is then distributed later on down the road. It could be a year from now that you'll get that tiny little bit amount remaining. But because of that, do you see? Because of that, they're not giving you the whole money at once. They're keeping a little bit for the underwriter fees, management fees. There's a little bit left over. In case it's not the whole 10%, you're going to get that redistributed. Henceforth, New Hudspeth can't really do that. Once they sell it, blah, 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 it doesn't jive. And the New Hudspeth, once they sell it, has been, dispersed. Once the asset is sold, New Hudspeth goes bye-bye. As a result, this needs its own spinoff. And you get Oilco. Metamaterials, that's how it goes. Metamaterial acquired Torchlight. Metamaterial can't sell the asset under Metamaterial's name. One, it's bifurcated. Bifurcate means separate. I know you think bifurcated is something else. Get your mind out of the gutter. It's bifurcate. It's separate. Nothing has to do with Meta in that regard. Hence, there's a spinoff. Okay. Meta acquires Torchlight. They can't sell the asset under Meta. They spin off into New Hudspeth because old Hudspeth, which is Torchlight, has been dissolved. It's been dissolved. So now we have new Hudspeth. Once New Hudspeth sells that asset, it will be dissolved. Now, it could give you the dividend. And it will go directly to MMTLP. But after it dissolves, between the time it dissolves from the first dividend, and you had that 10% left over, which by the time it happens, it won't be 10%. You might get 4%. You might get 5%. I don't know. But they withhold 10%. They're going to give you that final 10%, what's left over in a year from now. By then, New Hudspeth is going to be bye-bye. So you have Oilco. That's the spinoff. It's not a spinoff as they're not going to sell the asset and spin off into a new energy company. Oh my gosh, the plot's complicated enough. This is like Downton Abbey, Game of Thrones. It's a complicated plot, all right? But because there's this huge time gap between dividend now, which by now I mean by January 1st, and then by next year when they give you that extra, little tiny bit left over. Now, it might be sooner than that, but that's to hold off for underwriting fees, management fees, everything else, henceforth there too. That time gap means that, by the time that New Hudspeth will be bye-bye. They want to get out of it as soon as possible, okay? That sells it. That they want to sell, they want to get out of it. We want it overdone. Oilco, because Meta won't fully become that semiconductor company we've all been talking about until this asset is sold. That's like this anchor dragging across that proverbial oil line. Does this mean that once you get the dividend, MMTLP is going to disappear? No, it's not going to disappear because that tiny little amount that's remaining, you got to hold on to it. I mean, at that point, right? You're going to read that document. They hold 90%. Then they said later on they'll give you that whatever's left over from the management fee and the underwriting fee. That's why we have Oilco, because by then New Hudspeth will be gone. The asset will be sold. New Hudspeth will be dissolved. Meta can go to being a semiconductor or a licensing, whatever it is, whatever amorphous, ambiguous shape it takes forth. But that's the chain of events, and that's what Oilco is. It's the spin-off to give you that dividend. Now, when I talk about that spin-off company, I told you about the shares. And we looked at the shares. And the shares don't exactly line up with Torchlight's. And I said this could be a trick. That's the trick. That's the trick. To trick people. Because if the shares directly match Torchlight's, which is just over 165 million, just under 165 million, then people are going to assume that, you know, the assets aren't going to be sold. They're going to panic. They're going to panic. Don't panic. So those, because it's a spinoff of a spinoff. And that the shares are sort of ambiguous and could change at any time, but they had to be written with a certain amount of shares in there to distribute the dividend when you set up this company. Like I said, I wish I could see the articles of incorporation. It would have solved so much mystery. So again, MetaMaterials acquires Torchlight. MetaMaterials cannot directly sell the asset, the oil asset. No, it's bifurcated. No. So they had to spin off and make new Hudspeth. Same registered agent, Robert D. Axelrod. Okay, they're going to distribute a dividend, but you have to keep this other part for up to a year, and you have to hold it, this small little hunk of 10%. By then, New Hudspeth is going to be gone, and Torchlight by then will be long gone. Twinkle in your eye. So you need this substantiated spinoff called Oilco, who's taking care of the dividend? Corporate Creations. Whew, hooray! Okay. Well, thanks to some of the Voltron members for helping me out. They reached out to me after my one video where I talk about what to do if there was a spinoff. And I wasn't too sure about Oilco at that point. I had some hunches, and they helped me. Well, they sent me some pictures, and I looked at them rather confused, and it wasn't until I was falling asleep and my, slipping consciousness mashed this up into a linear image, and I was like, oh geez, and I had to furiously text people because I'm like, is this correct? My sleep brain tells me it's this, and they're like, yeah. And then we solved some more puzzles. It was crazy. Okay, I will see you soon. Goodbye.